coast to coast. The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Cut the damn music. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Coming at you as I usually love to do every weekday over the national airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing nearest you, plus ESPN Radio at Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by mycomputercareer.edu. Training for a better life. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Let me just be very, very clear. I'm having a disgustingly bad morning. I am not happy. To put it mildly, I am having a very bad day. The Dallas Cowboys won another game and look as formidable as ever. Both New York teams stink and can't catch a break. Drew Brees, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the entire NFL, is going to be out for at least 6 weeks. And to top it all off, to add an elevated level of misery to the misery that I am already feeling, news just came down a little over an hour ago that Big Ben Roethlisberger, star quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, future Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion for the Steelers, is out for the rest of the 2019 NFL season because of a non-contact elbow. Everything that I abhor has come to fruition. I got the New Orleans Saints coming out of the NFC, representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. That's going to just mush. It's over. It's over. The Saints ain't going to the damn Super Bowl. Teddy Bridgewater is not taking his team to some damn Super Bowl. He'll probably lose enough games where Drew Brees will come back, come to the rescue, guide them to the postseason, but they don't have home field advantage. And as a result, the NFC Championship game, or the playoffs by that matter, probably won't be at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, which means that Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints ain't going to the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys are 2-0. Got Dak Prescott against the Giants. And the Redskins looking like the second coming of Joe Montana. And the way they're rolling, and as weak as the Giants and the Redskins look, they'll probably coast to the playoffs, have home field advantage, and a bunch of cockroaches known as their fans, Dallas Cowboy fans I'm talking about here, they'll walk around to we're going to the Super Bowl this year, right? And they'll actually have a chance at being right for a change for the first time in 25 years. Which is the very bane of my sports existence. Listening to them trolls, because that's what they are. If If cockroaches is too harsh of a term to call Dallas Cowboy fans, at the very least, they're trolls. And then in the AFC, we've got New England. Football's version of the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant. Just unfair. But you got Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs when Tyreek Hill comes back, assuming he's able to come back. Lord have mercy, what a matchup that would be. But we can't underestimate the Baltimore Ravens because Lamar Jackson looks like an MVP candidate. But the Pittsburgh Steelers were supposed to be in the mix. Even without Antonio Brown, even without James Conner, we were raving about the Pittsburgh Steelers and how much they were supposed to be rough riders and what have you. Their starters playing in the preseason, they're together. Their men playing amongst boys and all of this stuff going on. And with all of this stuff happening, we were of the mindset that the Pittsburgh Steelers would somehow, some way, because of who they are and what they're made of, would find a way to be respectable. And then we saw them last night. And we saw them against the Seattle Seahawks yesterday afternoon, to be exact. And what did we witness? We witnessed the Pittsburgh Steelers squad. That ain't the Pittsburgh Steelers squad that we believed in and has loved for so long. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers squad who's got a secondary getting schooled by rookies. Rookies. We've got Tom Brady and Russell Wilson, albeit two of the better quarterbacks. One of them may be the best ever. We got two of the great quarterbacks in the game today, okay? Passing for nearly 700 yards. Completing nearly about 77% of their passes. And Steelers can't do anything about it. We've got a running game with James Conner that's non-existent. He can't do anything. We got a passing game with Juju Smith-Schuster as your number one wideout, and the only thing that made him relevant yesterday statistically was a trick play where he was able to get behind the defense. Other than that, he didn't do a damn thing. We got Dante Moncrief, who forgot how to catch passes. He dropped 4 against New England, dropped another one yesterday. You got folks in Pittsburgh calling for James Washington, for crying out loud, as if he's Jerry Rice. As if he's some kind of damn savior. Why? Because the person that you got on the field is playing like trash. That's why. I mean, you can't make this up. I'm so disgusted right now. And then my reprieve, being a native New Yorker, having this show based in New York, having guys like my man JC and Jonathan and others sitting here with me, all hanging out in New York. All of us hanging out in New York. And what do we have to look forward to? A Giants team that really isn't a team. They just got Saquon Barkley. And the future of Daniel Jones to look forward to. There's nothing else to look forward to. We all know that the Giants are not good. They lost their opener getting obliterated by the Dallas Cowboys. And yesterday they got schooled by the Buffalo Bills. Saquon Barkley ran for 75 yards in your first damn drive to open the game, for crying out loud. He did that by himself. Other than that, you were virtually impotent. Couldn't do anything running, couldn't do anything passing. Certainly didn't have the defense to stop the Buffalo Bills. You can't make this up. And oh, by the way, I got a Monday night game to look forward to tonight where the Jets are going against the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns team that got embarrassed in week 1, lost 43-13 on its own home field. Odell Beckham Jr. was your leading receiver with 7 receptions for about 70-something yards. He's returning to MetLife Stadium as a visitor, but not up against the Giants. This time it's up against the Jets. And oh, what the hell is going on right now? What the hell is going to happen? Here's what we have to look at. Baker Mayfield's hungry. Njoku's hungry. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. damn sure hungry. Okay? Nick Chubb's hungry. Defense got something to prove. And who are they going against? A Jets team that's just fodder. You don't have Sam Darnold. You never had a number one receiver. Robbie Anderson or Jamison Crowder don't apply. What kind of running game do you have? Le'Veon Bell, he could play, but he was out for a year. He recorded over 80-something yards. Everybody act like he was the second coming of Barry Sanders. What the hell are we supposed to expect from the New York Jets tonight without Sam Darnold? Without Sam Darnold. Trevor Siemian is supposed to turn us on? Everywhere you turn, the level of misery and beyond, it's just hard to put into words. It's just hard to put into words. It's hard to put in perspective. I don't even know what the hell to say right now. I'm really, really struggling to stomach what the hell is going on. But I will say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. And Jonathan, I want you to listen to this because this was the surprise that I had from my producer. As disgusted as I am, as nauseated as I am with all that is happening with my Pittsburgh Steelers, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Not just for the Steelers, but for the New York Jets. Where am I going with all of this, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you where the hell I'm going. Does the name Colin Kaepernick sound decent to you? I mean, you need a quarterback, right? Don't you need a quarterback? If you're the Jets, don't you need a quarterback? Especially when you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only is Mason Rudolph unproven, even though he played relatively decent yesterday, 12 of 19 for 112 yards with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But bottom line is this, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you didn't even have a third quarterback on your depth chart. Does the name Colin Kaepernick sound good to you? It sounds pretty damn good to me right now. And oh, by the way, as my man Carlton in Tampa will point out, one could make the argument Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job, not just because of the stance that he took, but the stance that he continued to take. But I got news for you. I thought we were beyond all of that. I thought a settlement was reached. I thought a grievance no longer existed. There's no lawsuits pending or anything like that. He broke no laws. He violated no bylaws. What's the problem? We're beyond that. The president of the United States isn't calling them a bunch of SOBs. As a matter of fact, I recall the president going on the record, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan Winthrop, I recall the president going on record just a few months ago saying he didn't have a problem with Colin Kaepernick getting a job. So even his constituency, even his rabid followers have sort of pumped the brakes on all of that stuff about patriotism and everything else, which was a false narrative to begin with. What's the excuse now? You trying to tell me Colin Kaepernick don't deserve a tryout in Pittsburgh? You trying to tell me Colin Kaepernick don't deserve a tryout with the New York Jets? Sam Darnold's got mononucleosis. Ladies and gentlemen, folks joked around and talked about, that's the kissing disease or whatever. Y'all have any idea how serious that is? It's not a laughing matter. Kidneys and liver supposedly get enlarged. There are people, if I'm correct, who have died from mononucleosis. This is not a joke. On this show, we wish nothing but the best for Sam Darnold. A speedy recovery, 100% health, so he can get on the field and remind us what a quarterback that he is. So I can understand if you're the New York Jets, knowing and anticipating that eventually he'll be back this season, why you might not want Colin Kaepernick in your stable. But if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, what excuse is there? Ben Roethlisberger's gone for the year. Are you really going to sit there with a straight face and tell me that Mason Rudolph is your answer? Oh, by the way, are you going to tell me after watching Lamar Jackson run for over 100 yards and pass for over 250 yards that it doesn't give you some kind of indication of what Colin Kaepernick might potentially be capable of doing for you, even though he's been out of the game for a few years? Does he not deserve a tryout? I'd say he does. I wouldn't mind seeing Colin Kaepernick with the tryout. Mistakes notwithstanding, no matter what you believe, I'm going to repeat, man didn't break no laws. Man didn't even break NFL bylaws. What's wrong with giving him a look? See, if you can't give him a look under these situations, then it is official that he has been blackballed. It is official. Because there ain't no reason to not give him a look. You can at least give the man a look. Give him a tryout. See what he's got. Now, in defense of those teams, I will say this. Colin Kaepernick, you want a job in the National Football League? Going on Twitter, showing video of you throwing passes to Odell Beckham Jr. don't get you an NFL job. Your agent needs to be down, and I'm not saying the agent is not doing this, but the agent needs to be out there pounding the pavement and convincing the team to give you a look. At least bring you in for a tryout and give you a look. That's how you get a job in the National Football League as a quarterback. That's how you do it. Not by appealing to Twitter trolls who, instead of trolling you, might support you. It's about that agent pounding that pavement, getting you a job. I'm here after speaking to Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, his lady, Nessa Diab, I believe that's how she pronounced her last name. Lovely lady. She was lovely to me. Very respectful, I might add. Why not give him a look? Let me jump on that bandwagon. Just give him a look. Don't give him a job. Let him earn that, but give him a look. See what he's got. Because if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers, my God, desperate doesn't begin to describe the state of affairs that presently exists with you right now. You're 0-2. Can't run the ball, can't pass the ball, can't stop the pass. Damn near can't stop the run. Steelers are just in an awful situation. And another reason I would happen to mention that, ladies and gentlemen, I would happen to mention that position about Colin Kaepernick. I would remind y'all that Dan Rooney, former owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers, passed away April 13, 2017, if I remember correctly, at the age of 84. Won 6 Super Bowl titles. Perhaps his greatest achievement was how progressive he was off the field and how instrumental it was to the sport of professional football. It was Mr. Rooney who was instrumental in implementing the policy that has helped open doors to NFL head coaching and top management positions for African Americans and people of color. The Rooney Rule, remember that? Established in 2003. No doubt needing improvements, certainly needs to be modified, but it did require NFL teams to at least interview at least one minority candidate for open head coaching and general manager positions. Chris Gray in Miami, Brian Flores in Miami. As pathetic and atrocious as that franchise is at this particular moment in time, clearly in an attempting to rebuilding. Just break everything down and ultimately build it up. The Miami Dolphins, as we speak at this particular moment in time, Brian Flores just got there, has nothing to do with this. But it might be the worst football team we've ever seen in history. It might be the worst NFL team we have ever seen. I've seen NFL teams this bad in November and December. I've never seen an NFL team start off this damn bad. Not only do they stink, they act like they don't want to play. They playing near South Beach and still don't want to be there. They're playing in a state for a football team in a state where there's no state income tax and still don't want to be there. I mean, Miami is atrocious. Atrocious. But that's neither here nor there. Brian Flores just got there. Chris Gray is clearly rebuilding. The point is, both of them are black men. Does that happen, a GM and a head coach, without the Rooney Rule? Without it being pushed for implementation by Mr. Dan Rooney? That's why I bring up Colin Kaepernick. We talk about Mike Tomlin like he's some loser when the man has won over 64% of his games in his NFL head coaching career. Only Bill Belichick has been more successful as a regular season coach. Been to the playoffs 8 of 12 years. 8 out of the 12 years he's been a head coach. That's more than Sean Payton. We don't bring that up. He's got Super Bowl ring, 2 Super Bowl appearances. Sean Payton's got 1 Super Bowl appearance and 1 Super Bowl ring. Sean Payton's been in an NFC Championship game 3 times. Tomlin has been to an AFC Championship game at least 3 times. We don't talk about Sean Payton being fired. So I would say to all of you, I'm not pleased with what I see from Pittsburgh. I'm certainly not pleased with what I see from Tomlin right now. But the greatest argument you can make against Tomlin is that he ain't Belichick, at least before this season. Right now, you don't have Antonio Brown. You don't have Le'Veon Bell. You want to hold him accountable for that after seeing all of the theatrics that Antonio Brown is engaged in? Be my guest. But I got something to tell you. I love me some Mike Tomlin. Don't want him to lose his job. Don't believe he should. But the Steelers do not look impressive. And to know that you didn't have Antonio Brown, and to know that you didn't have Le'Veon Bell, and to know this entire offseason that you weren't going to have them, and to look as pathetic as the Steelers have looked thus far, is incredibly disappointing. Here's their argument. They played against New England and Seattle, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, and one of the better teams in the NFL with one of the great quarterbacks in the NFL. It ain't like they lost to some scrubs. I just don't see things getting much better unless you get yourself a quarterback. And considering the Rooney's reputation, the fact that the family still hovers over the Steelers franchise, and the fact that you got a coach like Mike Tomlin in play, do I think it's worth at least giving Colin Kaepernick a tryout? You're damn right I do. Let's see if the Steelers do it, now that you've lost Big Ben Roethlisberger for the entire year. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. That's ESPN News, Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart. Boogie McFarland, voice of Monday Night Football, will be on with us to start off hour number 2. I got a lot of these games to get into that we saw yesterday as well. I'll tell you who my league MVP is right now, and you might be shocked at who's number 2 on the list. I'll also get into Dak Prescott, who might be included in that initial thought of the conversation that I just brought up. I'll also tell you who I think is the favorites in the NFC now that Drew Brees is out for at least the next 6 weeks. All that and more coming up, so don't touch that dial. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn?